Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Pam Rosenberg and I'm the Director of Education and Certification for ASPE, and I serve as a staff liaison to the AYP Special Interest Group. With me today is Nicholas Hipp of the St. Louis chapter. He serves as Region 5's AYP liaison and is on the society level AYP committee. Today's webinar is being recorded so you can reference this at a later date or share it with your chapter. During today's webinar, we'll discuss the status of the committee and region liaisons, the status of chapter AYPs, chapter events, a new informational document for chapter AYP liaisons, upcoming society programs, and how to get your chapter prepared for fall events. And while we are talking, please feel free to type in questions in the dialog box or in the question box, share your chapter's events or anything AYP related that you might want us to discuss during this broadcast.
Thank you, Pam, and hello, AYP. Here on the list is the current AYP committee inclusive of the regional liaisons. If you need to reach out to any of these individuals, visit aspe.org/AYP to see the full list and how to contact these individuals. As of today, there are currently 36 AYP liaisons out of a possible 61. This figure may change once the chapter submits their annual reports, but we are just over half of the chapters reporting they currently have an AYP liaison. You'll also find the list of all AYP chapter liaisons on the AYP webpage. Go ahead and take a look for yourself.
One thing that we're always seeking information on is updates on your chapter events. And we'd love to highlight what you're doing to the Society Board of Directors and even feature an event on one of our platforms, one of our social media platforms, on our website, maybe on our LinkedIn. And one thing that's brand new is an online form where you can notify the committee of those events. So please take a few moments after your event is over and complete this form. Very simple. It's also accessible on the main AYP page. And many of you do know, but ASPE also has a graphic designer on staff to help with your marketing needs. Her name is Nadine Salcedo. Her information is right there on the screen. And let's show you a couple marketing examples that she's put together for us. So here you see we created a marketing material for the San Francisco chapter, the Intermountain chapter, the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter. So we do know that your time is limited and this is not necessarily something that you specialize in. So please take advantage of the staff resources that we have available to you. Again, you are volunteers. We're paid staff. And so let us help you out. Let's get this promoted for you. We've got flyers, we can make marketing ads, anything for your website. And again, her name is Nadine Salcedo. Her phone number's on there. She's on the staff. If you go to the staff contact page, that's where you can find her direct information. Or you can always reach out to us at ayp@aspe.org and I can connect you right there with her. And then speaking of informational materials, the AYP committee and Nicholas, who is my co-presenter today, actually authored a very informative pamphlet on how to excel as your chapter AYP liaison. This document highlights the expectations of being the ASPE Young Professional Liaison for your chapter, the time commitments, social event planning ideas, and your role in helping with youth outreach. So you can go review this document. It's very helpful. It's pretty brief as well, so it won't take too much time for you to read. And it's also on the main AYP page, which is aspe.org/AYP. And speaking of programs, you all know about this year's Tech Symposium in Montreal, and registration is now open. And for those of you that are definitely going, we encourage you to register early. The early bird deadline ends next Friday, June 30th, so don't hesitate to hop online and get registered before the rate goes up.
Yes, Pam, this is going to be a great time. And this year there are 3 opportunities to network and connect with other AYPs. The first one is the annual AYP committee meeting, which is open to all members 35 and younger, not just those on the committee or chapter AYP liaisons. We encourage you to come to this meeting, hear what the committee is up to, get ideas from other chapters, and meet new faces at the start of the conference. The Tech Symposium begins that morning, so we won't be sleep deprived just yet unless you hang out with certain people. It's taking place Thursday, October 19th from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. The second and the most beneficial AYP opportunity is the AYP Leadership Conference, which is just following the AYP committee meeting. This year, the theme is what they didn't teach you in college. And here's a handful of the topics that will be covered in that presentation. The speaker is Deirdre Gilmore, who spoke at last year's Women of ASPE Academy, and she brings a wealth of knowledge. If you're able to attend the leadership conference, but not the symposium, you're still able to register, but there is a discount if you register for both. Also, if you need CEUs for your CPD or CPDT recertification, this program awards 0.6 CEUs or 6 hours. And finally, the best one, what would an ASPE conference be without an AYP social? This year we're going to Rage Montreal, which is an indoor axe throwing facility. This means AYP is hosting their first ever ASPE axe throwing tournament. I know this event might sound strange, but axe throwing is taken over Canada and some US cities, so we will be the trendsetters. You must be 35 years or old or younger to attend and have closed-toe shoes, steel toe or just closed-toe shoes. There is a minimal cost for the event of $25. It is sponsored by all gold sponsors of Tech Symposium. And here are some pictures of the axe throwing event. The flannels and beards are optional, so you don't have to worry about those.
And here's a list of the AYP event sponsors as of June 1st, and we'll continue to update the website as this changes.
And speaking of event planning, there are so many options you could go with for your event. I recently attended the Kansas City chapters of Backflows and Brews event, and where they visited the McLean Wet Lab and saw some fully operational equipment and backflow preventers. And of course, we had some booze and fish tacos, but we also have done bowling, escape rooms, brewery tours, happy hours, and all of those are good and somewhat inexpensive events that you could do with your chapter. Other ideas are to get together with other chapters for joint events or competitions, charity and volunteer. Well, let's go back. For example, the getting together with other chapters, for instance, I'm in Region 5, and St. Louis and Kansas City could easily meet in the middle in Columbia, Missouri, or Chicago and St. Louis, Springfield, and so on and so forth. Dallas, Fort Worth, with Houston or Central Texas to do some volleyball, soccer, chess tournaments, which is preferred. Then charity and volunteering for the community would be a good publicity for ASPE as well. We also know it can be hard to get away from your family at times, so maybe think about doing some family outings to get everybody's families together. That might be better for your outreach. If you're interested in doing charitable works, this page has a couple of options you can look into and websites for volunteering events that's right for you.
So, and don't let this page be limited. And we often hear that when the chapter AYP liaison and gets the AYP group together to do a volunteer or a charity type event, they actually find that to be the most rewarding and the most enjoyable because you're able to give back. And it's, again, the Chicago chapter a couple years ago, they did the polar plunge for Special Olympics, and that took place in the middle of winter, and it was totally freezing cold out, but that was a fun event, but they were able to give back and bring light to an important cause. So maybe consider that. People love to give back, and it's something that your chapter can also bring back and say, hey, this is what we did. We are giving back. We're not just doing social or technical trainings. And again, Nicholas stated this is just a handful of the websites that are out there. So there's plenty of religious organizations in your communities that you could probably look into. So don't let this be a limiting factor for you. So again, thank you, Nicholas, for co-presenting with me today. And in summary, let's get ready for the fall. Most of the chapters are closed for the summer. A lot of them did have board turnovers, and some chapters are going through the summer, some close in the winter, but most of them are closed for the summertime. So you have the biggest opportunity coming up this year at the Tech Symposium to earn plenty of continuing education, as well as participate in the AYP Leadership Conference, which only happens every other year. It doesn't happen every year. It only happens at the Technical Symposium. And we also encourage you to take away the few ideas that we did talk about today. We know it wasn't a whole lot, but we hope it was a starting point and hopefully got the gears turning for you to bring that back to your chapters. And finally, you will be hearing more from the committee and your region liaisons about announcements and future dates for quarterly calls that we definitely encourage you to attend, share feedback, get some ideas, very similar to today's format, but much more intimate as far as what your region is doing specifically, because what might work in your chapter or your region might necessarily work very well for a chapter or a region outside of your area. And we'll take a moment or so. If anybody has any questions or comments, they can leave them in the dialogue box here, but we do want to thank you for taking the time to chat with us. I know this was a brief call, so again, we'll give it another few seconds, but if any of your chapters are doing anything, we'd love to talk about them right now. And all of those, the resources that we're talking about are on that main AYP landing page. So if you go to the website and you hover over membership, at the bottom there's another menu that says special interest groups, and then from there you'll see ASPE Young Professionals, and all this information is right there. But please go ahead and take a look at the informational packet that Nicholas and the committee put together. And we also, like I said, we want to hear about your events. We love to share them, and even if it wasn't a great event, we do want to hear about it.
Yeah, and on that note, no event is too small, so never get discouraged in regards to the size of your events, because they can, in my experience coming from St. Louis, I get anywhere from 5 to 8 people at a time, so I'm not getting record-breaking crowds at our events, but they're still just a blast with the people that do end up showing up, because it's just the camaraderie and the networking that goes on at those events is just amazing. So never get discouraged if only like 2 people, 3, even up to 30 people show up. Just go out and have some fun.
Yeah, and on that note, you don't want to be comparing yourself necessarily to, if you're a smaller chapter, don't necessarily compare yourself to a larger chapter, because there's just different resources and you have a different level of chapter members. So if you're a small chapter, it would be unreasonable to expect 50 people to show up. But small events are great, and sometimes even smaller events provide better outcomes because you get an opportunity to have more one-on-one conversation and actually get to meet people in your membership. So at this time, I don't see any questions or comments that have come in, so we will go ahead and end the broadcast. But as we stated, this is being recorded. And again, thank you for, we did have, we had one comment come in. Yeah, there are some larger chapters that don't necessarily have the great turnout. So just keep plugging away at it, and eventually your meetings will grow. And feel free to reach out to myself, to the committee, for ideas. If you need help with anything marketing related, again, we're here for you. Let us help do the work so that you can focus on doing the outreach and getting, to work with your chapter officers to get people to those events. And you can also work on maybe getting a potential sponsor to offset some of the costs for this. There's a lot of opportunities for you manufacturers or the reps to get involved. And there's a lot of benefit on both sides to having a sponsored event.
And also, you don't necessarily have to do all the work yourself. You can ask other people in your chapter. It's what would be fun. What would be fun in their opinion to do. So you can reach out to other people in your chapter about ideas and what they would be interested in, and just talking to other people in there. Same with, like Pam said earlier, you can reach out to some of your manufacturing reps to get a little bit of sponsoring, some food before and after the event, or your chapter can sponsor the event itself. But you don't necessarily have to do all the work yourself, so don't get daunted or afraid that you're going to be, man, this is going to take so much time to just organize and plan. You can ask some other people to help too.
That's a very good point. And on that note, thank you again for listening today, and we look forward to seeing you in Montreal.
Thanks, everyone.